The CFL Gambling Podcast Week 11 reaction show and power rankings episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have CFL action. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Welcome to the CFL Gambling Podcast, Week 11 reaction show. It is great to be back, and it has been a wild week from a news standpoint, from really everything here. We got players being reinstated. We got players coming up struggling. We got the franchises being sold. Let's go Eskimos. And we got other just shit. It's been a kind of a wild off season. It's been a wild season, but a wild off, like the off days. Every day I feel like we're getting news of substantial amounts here. So look, jump on over youtube.com, get on over there, type in CFL Gambling Podcast as we continue to react to all this madness and handicap. And both of us had winning DFS lineups, so we're going to talk all about that. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
I didn't have the greatest week ATS after going 4-0. And the worst part about it is I feel like a couple of those were in perfect spots to get it done. They didn't. DFS cash though. This year's been tough. It's been tough. It's been hard to understand. I feel like, we've done a bunch. I'll key more in on this. I am joined by my co-host who's on vacation in as a Bear fan. He's in Green Bay somewhere. It looks like his camera quality is absolute shit. And when I went to Lambeau Field, I was impressed by the amount of the amount of the technology is about 10 years behind in Green Bay, the hotel I stayed at. So perhaps he is at one of those hotel rooms. Give it up for the host of the UFL Gambling Podcast, the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, Justin Mark, aka No Turd J Mark. How are you, brother?
Doing good, except feeling a little itchy with all this Packer stuff, but we're down in Phoenix, Arizona. The cousin was nice enough to let me have his room as long as I did not put a virtual background on and left that Packer stuff, because he knows how much I hate that shit. But yeah, no, doing good. I was 2-2 ATS, but the DFS performed again. 4th place. It was 5th. Stat correction moved me up to 4th. That's 2 weeks in a row of top 5 finishes, and none of you listeners are tailing. So I'm calling you listeners out for not tailing.
Well, I don't get.
They did not tail, and
unless they were in
a
different entry, I guess. Maybe they tailed and they were in a different contest.
They didn't have the $15 to submit. You're
right.
Calling them cheap bastards. I understand.
$1.
Mine hit for cash too, just not the same as yours. But kudos to you. You've been top 5. That's something to tout. All right, tell that to the nephew or the cousin. Say, yeah, you're Packer bullshit out of here. Follow me on the CFL stuff. All right. Let's talk about just a wild week. There was some great games. Before I get into it, though, I want to tell you that the CFL Gambling Podcast is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Everything in the merch store is 10% off with the promo code football. So hop on over there. They got a Pick Dundee t-shirt you could rock around. Studies have shown your chances of getting ass go up 97.4% at a bowling alley on a Tuesday wearing a Pick Dundee t-shirt. So do that. Also, the college football kicks off this week. Tune into the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Football Experience for Week 0 picks and all of your favorite futures. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. Back on the CFL Gambling Podcast, and we got slides. Game 1. Let's talk about it, because the Ottawa Red Blacks, and I thought you did it again, by the way, dude, because Ottawa was in control of this game, and you texted me talking shit about the Stampeders. I took the Stampeders, and then they stormed back and took the lead. They took a 29-28 lead, and I was like, dude, this is the second or third time you've done this season where you thought Calgary was shit. And Dave Dickinson's bunch, the cardiac Peters. No, but Ottawa was able to answer the calling. Just, really, to me, the difference was, and this is something you can try to make the game as different as you can. It's funny. I listen to a lot of these people, and like, I may say that like I'm having a tough year from an ATS point of view, and I am. There's no hiding that. But I do know football, right? I know football, and I feel like one of the things I was going to say before your introduction, J Mark, was this has been a harder year. We've done the UFL for years, the XFL, the USFL podcast. I've done the AAF, which was a league in 2019. And then obviously the NFL and college football. I've been all over those blueprints, FCS college football, many forms. This has been the hardest league to understand that I can recall. Like, and I've done the CFL before. It's just not like this particular season has been very challenging for me, whether it's the quarterback shakeups, the coaching shakeups, the suspensions, the signings on the fly. It's been really tough, but I felt all right about this one. But my point that I guess I'm trying to make, I'm all over the place here, so I had 2 cups of coffee, but is even in this league, I've had people tell me that like this is a passing league. I still believe the teams that are the best can run the rock. And I refuse to just sign on board with this, that you must be able to pass to win in this league. Like, yeah, passing matters. Sure. It helps. Balance is good, but 146 rushing yards to me was the difference in this game. Your thoughts on the Red Blacks and the Stampeders?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Calgary wins these games at home. It's what keeps them one of the kind of top half teams. Now they couldn't get it done at home. Very disappointing for them, I'm sure. Disappointing for us that picked them. I had Calgary money line as the only part of my parlay that did not hit. So they let me down there too. Otherwise, we would have been looking at that 9-1. Shout out to Jeremiah Masoli, who came in, and I thought he looked decent. I expected it to be a lot worse. I expected him to have to shake some rust off. He went 27-35, 254 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, that running game with Reichwell Armstead, he averaged 10.9 yards a carry. And normally in the CFL, when you see that, you're like, well, he probably had a 70, 80 yard run. I mean, his longest was only 25. So it's not like he had some giant long run that is skewing those stats. He ran his ass off. Calgary couldn't tackle him and they couldn't stop him. Just all around. I mean, I know Calgary almost came back, but Ottawa deserved to win this game. They put in better effort all around.
I agree. And look, I had Calgary. I thought it was a great spot for Calgary to take advantage of what is this race to the 111th Grey Cup that's just becoming insane in the western side of things. I thought coming into the year the East was more open. Shows what I know, right? I just said I know football, but the East was wide open. No. I mean, this has been a wacky season, and Ottawa has been a great story. I feel like we kind of have the East figured out. They outgained them. They outgained them on the ground. They were even on first downs. They both turned the ball over once. The over did cash here. Did you take the over or the under?
I was on the under. I thought Mazzoli was going to start slower. So, I was on the under here.
So I cashed on the over. So I can't talk shit there. All right. Yeah, great. That was a fun game though. That's what I'm saying. The first two were bangers. This game here, Montreal, Saskatchewan. Holy shit. This one I feel like you're right in the other one. Like the Rough Riders, or you're right with the Red Black should have won the game. This one I would push back. I think Saskatchewan should have won this game. And the yardage tells me this: 443 yards to 336. This game was awesome. If you did not watch, the legend of Davis Alexander continues to grow with a epic rushing touchdown that was controversial. I think they got it right. I think it was a touchdown. I don't think he stepped out of bounds. But for Montreal to even win this game, everything you look at here, they were out rushed by 30 yards or almost 40 yards. Or almost 30 yards. I'm sorry. Out passed, and 2 turnovers. This was the game. Corey Mace is going to look back at this and say, how did we fuck this up? The over did cash as well. The Rough Riders blew it. This was an awesome game though. To me, this was like, to me, one of the best games of the season to watch. Fantastic stuff. And yeah, this Alouettes team. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So, not even 110-degree Phoenix weather and the nice looking pool could keep me away from this game. I had it rolling. Some people, are you watching NFL preseason? Fuck no, I'm watching the CFL. You're going to see that shot on social media where it looks like Davis Alexander is stepping out of bounds. I watched this live and that shot looks altered to me.
I agree with you.
When they zoomed in, you could see green between his foot and the line when they zoomed in real time. That shot looks like maybe somebody took him and scooted him over a little bit. This was a hell of a game, though. I mean, Trevor Harris coming back played very well. I thought, you're kind of messing with the mojo because Shea Patterson has been doing well. But Harris, 31 of 39, 355 yards, 2 touchdowns. Talk about a performance coming back from injury. Only missed 8 passes. I thought that was incredible against a very good defense. But yeah, I mean, obviously I was happy with the win since I took the Alouettes, but I was very impressed with the Rough Riders and the effort they put forward and just how Trevor Harris looked. I mean, he looked awesome. I think it's, we talk about it all the time in CFL and NFL spring leagues coaching. This is a very well-coached team. They have got their shit together. And I know I kind of poo-pooed them, especially with Shea Patterson, but I'm becoming a believer in these Rough Riders.
That missed field goal on the first drive, you just got to wonder. Obviously, he had the missed field goal late, but that was okay. The first drive one is the one I look back and I go, oh, God. I thought Saskatchewan played better. I really thought they deserved to win this game. But once again, this is like one of those things of like the heart of a champion. Montreal, to me, stole this game, but that's what happens when you play a really good team. And when you play a really good team, there's plenty of times you can look back on teams that have won Super Bowls or Grey Cups or national championships in college football or whatever, or the UFL with the Birmingham Stallions. There's games where they don't look the best, but they put it together at the right times. It's a gut check game. And I actually think you need those in your season to remind you, to humble you. And this is one right here. Montreal was down and it looked like they were going to lose this game. And Davis Alexander, and then they willed their way to a win here. Fantastic, I think, if you're an Alouette fan. And if you're Saskatchewan, you're kicking yourself. Now you're still, we'll talk about the race. You're still in a position to conquer the West, but you got to wonder what if, in this game particular here. What a game.
Quick question on this. Is there a quarterback controversy in Montreal?
I mean, it's starting to be, man. It's starting to be that it's like this is if you're building storylines of what could fuck up their season, because there's not much to they've lost one game.
Yep.
I think it's when you put Cody Fajardo back in, is this going to throw the rhythm and chemistry off of this team? Maybe.
Yeah.
It's starting to be a little Joe Montana, Steve Young action here where you're like, shit, the young guy is looking really good. It's a good problem to have in one way because you're like, we have guys, we have options, but in the other way, it's like you could be starting the wrong guy in a key game in the playoffs here. This is where coaching will matter. So I don't know. And then you ask yourself the Saskatchewan side of things. Is Trevor Harris better than Shea Patterson? I mean, Harris looked good though. I will say that.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Fascinating game. That was a great game. Like that was one that left me saying, I still love this league. You know what I mean? After that bullshit in the command center the week before, I was questioning everything. Had my dartboard here. I put the CFL helmet on the dartboard. I was just throwing darts into the CFL. Right. Gonna talk more about the other outcomes. But before we do that, I want to tell you the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter, or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yes, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries, folks. They have CFL action. You got to get over here. Some people say, I know, well, they say, oh, I can't do this. Well, you can with Underdog Fantasy. All right. So get on over there, sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. If you haven't been to the Circa in Vegas yet, what are you doing? All right, get on. It's like sports heaven. Don't have a trip booked for Vegas yet this weekend. I gotta recommend you go out just right now. It's Tuesday. You can still book your flight. The ultimate contest weekend's going on. It's a great time to go. You can hang with our friends, Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer, the Sports Gambling Podcast, as well as our co-host for the UFL Gambling Podcast and the Bottom Line Bombs Podcast, CJ Sullivan, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. Also use that promo code SGP15 to get you 15% off your hotel room for this weekend. Sign up in person at Circus Sports between now and September 7th. And you can use a proxy to play from anywhere. It's not like you got to fly back to Vegas every week. We even have a deal with the proxy. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 at the promo code SGP. And you're going to get a free hat with that too. Hop on over there and do that. All right. Back on the CFL Gambling Podcast. And yeah, once again, though, like this, I think this was the only outcome where the rushing yards, the team with the less rushing yards won the game. But even the turnover, it doesn't make sense. They had 2 turnovers. They gave Saskatchewan, that, and they still couldn't grab the dub. This game. Okay. This is just pathetic. And you saw the Hamilton Ticats hired Chris Jones, a former Edmonton Eskimos head coach. And then look, at the same time, we have the Edmonton Eskimos new ownership that has hinted at a name change. Yes, bring the Eskimos back to Edmonton, please. I hate Hamilton. There is not a softer team. And we knew this. I just thought like the line was telling me, and I looked too far into it, like you alluded to on the pick show. They're such a bitch team, and I don't even understand it. They had 200 yards more of offense. They just turned the ball over 4 times. I mean, they got their ass whooped. They gave up they gave up like 50 points in the second quarter, and just a pathetic performance by Hamilton. I would fire Scott Milanovich. I would fire him. Their team is better than like the performances they give. Their roster is more talented. The coaching is not getting it done. And to have that much more of a yard difference, once again, though, they still lost the rushing battle, but they still had 521 yards of offense. Good God, the over destroyed here, which I was on the over. But Hamilton is just they're the most disappointing story in this whole damn league. Their fans deserve better. They have great fans, and to put that product out on the field every week is pathetic, in my opinion. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, it felt too obvious, so I get why you wanted to zig and zag a little bit there. But Edmonton continuing to look impressive. I was a little nervous when we found out that McLeod Bethel Thompson was going to be the quarterback. because Trey Ford was going to be out. That made me a little nervous, but I mean, this was 32-3 at half. It was over at halftime.
Pathetic.
Great performance by the Eskimos, terrible by the Hamilton. I will say, they got to look at a younger guy for him, or a different guy, I guess, Harrison Frost. I thought he did all right. He went 8 for 12, 95 yards on a touchdown, but it was a little too late, kind of garbage time stuff. But yeah, I don't know how we can trust this Hamilton team to win a game or even cover any spread. It's going to have to get pretty high, I feel like, for us to feel confident taking them.
Yeah, it's so puzzling, man. This is how I like. Hamilton's 2-8, but they've won the yardage in a game. I want to say probably 7 of the 10 games. If I had to guess, that tells the tale of something. To me, that tells that your roster's not that bad. That you are not coaching correctly. You are not coaching. Your in-game management is horrible. Your prep for the game, especially your defense, is fucking horrible. But I don't believe when you're putting up yards like that. Like right now, let's just take right now. They chart as a better half offense in the league than the rest of the league. They average, with the exception of Winnipeg, which is offense, or no, I'm sorry, wait. With the exception of BC, right, whose offense was on fire for a little bit there. Hamilton's actually the number 1 offense right now in yards per game. That's incredible to me.
Right.
They're putting up 397.8 yards per game, and you're 2-8. Fire people, man. And look, I like Scott Milanovich. It's one of those things too, where you just sit there and say, how can you be the number 1 offense in the league and be 2-8?
Yeah, no, I agree. What's also interesting to me, just a little nugget I found, digging through the social medias, Bo Levi Mitchell, Vernon Adams, and McLeod Bethel Thompson. I think that's the order. They're number 1, 2, and 3 in passing yards, and all of them have essentially been benched. I mean, we don't know for sure what BC is going to do, but the way they paid Rourke, I have a feeling they're going to try to go with him. It's just interesting that, the blame is falling on the quarterback. Should it be? I know the quarterback is a important part of the game, but like you're saying, the way this Hamilton team is moving the ball, are we really going to sit here and just say this is all the quarterback's fault? I mean,
no, I understand
right. It's coaching.
It's 100% coaching. Like, okay, some turnover spots, but I would also question the spots you're putting your team in on those play calls and stuff like that. But the defense isn't great, but it's 10 yards better, 10 and a half yards better than the BC Lions defense. It's also what 23, 24 yards better than the Edmonton Eskimos defense, which is dead last. Edmonton's dead last. BC is second to last, and Hamilton is third to last. So it's perplexing to me. It's perplexing. They got their ass kicked this game. Now, this was the first game that was like a flat out just ass whooping. I feel like the other games Hamilton has actually like toyed around with the possibility of winning. Yeah. But man, this was embarrassing to me. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would make changes, man. Make changes. Pick up that phone, call June Jones, bring him back. All right. And the Eskimos, the other side of this coin is the Eskimos. You got a new owner. You're talking about bringing the name back, which it should have never left. And then you look at the standings, dude. They're what? They were like a game out of the playoffs, but 2 games out of first place.
Yeah.
What a world. I thought they were done. I really thought they were in. I thought them and Hamilton were done as far as like their chances to make the playoffs just 2 weeks ago. Even with that first win, I thought still they're done. Very impressive stuff. And Jarius Jackson could be the coach of the future there.
Yeah. And also a betting angle. I feel like until further notice, you take the over in all the Edmonton games.
Yeah, I think you're right. The final game on the slate was, man, they tried to do this. They got cute, man. BC and Rick Campbell. I disagree with it. Dolgala would have got you the best chance to win. Nathan Rourke, I get it. He was in the offense, but like, dude, football is a game of like, there's a lot of elements to this thing. You can't just pick up and throw in someone in there. I thought they mismanaged that, and I would have gone with Dolgala, cut him after this week. And Winnipeg came in there, and Winnipeg, I had this thought. I don't think I had the chance to text you this because I've been busy as shit releasing college football episodes, but I feel like Winnipeg's going to win the Grey Cup. Am I crazy?
They're definitely trending that way. I mean, it's just to relate it in case somebody's just tuning in because they want to hear the betting and they don't follow CFL. Last year in the NFL, we watched the Chiefs team, and the first half we're like, this is not the same team. And then they go on to win the Super Bowl. I feel like that's what we've seen so far with the Bombers. This whole first half here, we've been going, this is not the same team. But now all of a sudden, they're moving the ball efficiently. They're running the ball well. Their defense is stepping up. I mean, it was a slow start, but that doesn't mean that they're a shit team. This is still the team that has been dominant for the past handful of years. So I'm starting to lean that way too. I'm really feeling that way as well. They're going to be in the mix either way. They're going to be in the mix.
That defense is playing elite level, and the receivers have come along, and they're one game out of first, and they're 2-0 now against BC.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like the West has become, I thought the West was going to be the chalkiest coming into the preseason here if you listen to our preseason episodes, that now it's like, okay, the West is chaotic. I can't wait to watch. This was a mistake though. I feel bad in a way for Nathan Rourke to come in there.
Yeah, I was talking with Coach K, a friend of the show here, and he has experience in coaching, and he was talking about like, you know, when you go from different levels of football. So Nathan Rourke has been bouncing around NFL teams. Now he comes to CFL. Doesn't matter how good he did know it. There's still an adjustment period. And you're absolutely right. There's no reason they should have thrown him in as the starter. Doesn't make sense. I'm sure that they're kind of like, did we make a mistake making him the highest paid quarterback in the league? Doesn't mean he can't come around. We talked about it. It was kind of questionable with Vernon Adams playing like he has been playing. But, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to watch. They may have screwed themselves over by creating this controversy.
What are you supposed to do as a head coach? You're supposed to put your players in their best opportunities to succeed, their best positions to do that. They did not do that. If anything, I think this could hurt his confidence. I would have just sat him for one more week. You know what I mean?
25.
Like 3 picks, was it? Yeah. I mean, I just question what's going on there. Even that, like, I think obviously Nathan Rourke is a good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback for CFL standards too.
Yeah.
And I think should be on an NFL roster too. But at the same time, you didn't need a quarterback. Vernon Adams is out for a couple weeks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this, I don't like what they're doing. I am on fade with BC. I don't think it's going to work out. I think the locker room will be divided. Quarterback's supposed to be your leader. I think most of the team was behind Vernon Adams. And I think the team is probably sitting there saying, what the fuck's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, and I just think they're mismanaging this situation. Clearly, as we saw by rushing him, throwing him to the wolves with like 2 days of prep, is just stupid to me. Yeah, I'm on fade BC train moving forward, I think.
Yep. Agreed.
So that was our week. The standings are just classic right now. So in the West, you have Saskatchewan at 5-4-1 because of that bullshit tie. If they didn't have that tie, they would be, a game up on BC. Now they're a half game up, but I'm saying like you're looking really good there for your positioning. But they're 5-4-1, and BC obviously a half game back at 5-5. Winnipeg 4-6, but Winnipeg coming on strong. Calgary still 4-6 in the mix, despite, they're the most unpredictable team in the league probably. And then the Eskimos are 3-7. So you're still in the mix. If you're an Eskimo fan, you're saying, hey, we won 3 in a row. We're 2 games away. And a lot of them play each other. I think, that race is fascinating there in the West. And the snooze fest is in the East because we kind of know what the playoffs are. Montreal is 9-1. They're in. Ottawa's 6-2. Toronto's 5-4. And Hamilton's 2-8. I guess technically, because we still have so many weeks, Hamilton could get back in the mix. But I kind of feel like that unless they made a head coaching change, I don't know that I can just buy into that actually happening. I think the East is set. I think you'll see those 3 teams there. So how about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. Just real quick, I wanted to hit on the news for Toronto. Chad Kelly has been reinstated. It sounds like he'll likely be starting moving forward. We won't get into my despise of the move that they did release Brian Scott. So best of luck to him. Hopefully he lands on his feet here soon. I think he can compete in any league. So, I'm hoping he gets another shot here soon. But yeah, they're going to have Chad Kelly moving forward. We saw how well he did with the team last year. So that's going to kind of be interesting to see them and Ottawa kind of go back and forth in the standings and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the West Division is just going to be insane too. Like, I'm just fascinated by that. Want to do the power rankings here. But before I do that, there's a lot I want to talk about here, but before I do all of that stuff, I want to tell you 5 people out there that the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, football season is here, and college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model, or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most to you, and then Rhythm will build a custom model around that, or just sit back and let Rhythm and its predictive model do everything for you, all the heavy lifting. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants. Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. I like the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and the points there in Dublin, Ireland against Florida State. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB. So if you're going to a Blue Jay game, this is the app to use. Pull out that Game Time app. They're an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB, which means getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So what are you doing? Take the guesswork out of buying those MLB tickets. And look, this works for the CFL too. Like if you're going to go to Mosaic Stadium there, pull out the Game Time app. It's going to work for everything. You're going to go catch comedy. I don't know if you got Dave Chappelle in your town. All right. Whatever, pull it out, whatever you got. Game Time app. Just take the guesswork out of buying those tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, back on the CFL Gambling Podcast. We got to get our power rankings out. But before I do that, I just wanted to hit on the upcoming slate. We have Saskatchewan at Toronto on Thursday. You alluded to this, Chad Kelly reinstated. This is another thing, though. I worry about rhythm, tempo. Football is a more complex game than people think. And will he be able? You think he's going to start?
I guess I'm not positive. They haven't announced it yet, but if he's ready to roll, I think they'll have him start. Maybe they go with Dukes one more week. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch the shakeout and how the players respond. I mean, we saw people take to social media with all sorts of different thoughts on this. I'm sure the players just want to be in the best position to win, but it'll be interesting to see how they respond to it all.
Yeah, and if it, like, to me, as your picture quality is horrible, but your picture quality is a lot like the Hamilton coaching staff. But Saskatchewan beat them by 7. I think it was on July 4th. Corey Mace was the DC last year. He's gonna know of the Argos. He's gonna know the strengths and weaknesses in general of Chad Kelly. So I think it's a fascinating game that we have if they start him too, because not only your tempo and your rhythm and everything, your rust, and is the team behind you, but then you cater that with then this this side of things of Corey Mace knowing him better than most. That game is on Thursday. I can't wait for that game. Friday is Hamilton and Winnipeg. Unfortunately, it looks like Winnipeg. It's in Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg's gonna. I mean, we have to do our pick show tomorrow, but I'm saying like that game is kind of a snooze fest to me. But then Saturday, BC heads to Ottawa. Fascinating game. And then Sunday, the Eskimos in Montreal. Fascinating game. So they're packing a punch this week with three. I think I think this week probably the most interesting week we've had thus far this season. Moving forward, what's the game you want to watch most?
Call me crazy, but it's Edmonton, Montreal. I mean, Montreal squeaking by that win last week, and how good Edmonton has done as far as moving the ball in the air and on the ground. I can't wait to see that one. I think it's going to be better than people anticipate, especially better than you would have thought 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah,
I got it as BC Ottawa as the game I want to see most, just because Rourke game 2 and what's the status with Adams. What's that locker room feeling like? And then can Ottawa potentially continue to stay on a path to keep up with Montreal? It's going to be fascinating. We're going to talk all about things tomorrow with our preview and picks for week 12, as well as our DFS. So tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st, we will have that covered for you. But in the meantime, power rankings time. At team number 9, I think it's very fucking easy. It's the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who I still have a future on. So I bought some extra toilet paper, it turns out. Who's your number 9?
Number 9, I also have Hamilton. I don't know how you can put them above anybody.
Yeah. And yeah, they're just disappointing, man. They're just disappointing. Now, here's a tricky one here. At team 8, I think this is one of the harder questions to ask yourself is who right now is at team 8. I put Calgary. I don't feel great about that though, because Calgary is a strange team to me. They're strange. Like, I really have a hard time putting my finger on Calgary on like, what is it, they suck at. I think that their physicality on defense maybe would be one, but like they have certain games where they show up and they look good. So I have Calgary at team 8, but I don't feel great about that one. How about you?
We're seeing eye to eye, and I do feel great about it. I mean, we said you can't trust this team to win on the road. Now they lose at home. So to me, they have a lot to figure out. And if they can't rely on a home field advantage to win games, they're definitely screwed, because that's what they had going for them.
True, but they're like a second half team though. Whenever like I know they lost last week, but like you put 5 more minutes on that clock, I think Calgary's going to win that game.
Yeah.
So like, what is that? How can they hit that switch? They've done that a few times. They hit that switch and all of a sudden they look good. So I see the potential in those moments. Can they maximize those moments is the question. And I'm like you though. I still am weary of the rush defense. So that is team 8 to me. Now it gets even trickier because team 7, I'm putting the Eskimos. You just still got severely outgained. But the defense came up with big turnovers. I am buying in that the new ownership and the new blood life with Jarius Jackson as a head coach is very encouraging. I just need to see more. So at number 7, I have the Edmonton.
Yeah, I do too. I wrestled between them and the team that I have at number 6, but I ended up with Edmonton there. The offense is showing signs of life. The defense needs some work. So it's just a matter of can they continue on that path, right? Are they just hitting a confidence streak here, or can they continue to put good games together?
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I mean, this is what's tricky is like this is very like the deficit between each of these, with the exception of team 8 and team 1. I'm sorry, team 9 and team 1 are razor thin to me. but I do have the Eskimos at 7. At 6, I have the Toronto Argonauts, and I just feel like they got a lot of moving pieces going on. You know what I mean? It seems like potential if Chad Kelly comes back and he's playing at the level we've seen before, they could be number 2 in the league, and maybe even give Montreal all they can handle. But I also think the defense has fallen off when Corey Mace took that job in Saskatchewan there. I think the defense has not been the same. So I have them at number 6. Who do you have at number 6?
I also have Toronto. I almost put them down at 7, but I knew that would that might be looked at as a little bit of a bitter ranking after the Brian Scott news. So, but no, I agree with what you said on the defense. I mean, outside of Jake Serezna on that D line, it seems like they're struggling to make big plays. They're struggling to get to the quarterback. They're struggling to force turnovers, and that's what they really lived on last year. And then the quarterback controversy, I guess not controversy, but just situation. You know, Chad Kelly comes back. Is he going to be able to step right in? Do we need to have Dukes a couple more weeks? Like, how's that all going to play out? And will it mess with their flow on offense? That's a big thing to me. So yeah, I got them at 6.
Yeah, and at number 5, this is where I think it gets really dicey. I got the BC Lions at 5. I think this team's heading the wrong direction, and I question the front office moves. I question the coaching moves, and now I question who the hell is going to be their starting quarterback come playoffs. I got the BC Lions at 5. I've always questioned their rush defense and just physicality. So BC at number 5. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rourke is an incredibly talented quarterback, but as you've said all year, does it matter when they can't match the physicality of some of these other teams? So I have BC there as well. I think it is going to be a little bit of up in the air. Vernon Adams, Nathan Rourke, and just in general, it's feeling like the league kind of found this offense out already. They figured out how to slow them, and that's going to be trouble no matter who's a quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree. So we've seen it. We've agreed on every single team so far.
It's a little scary.
Wow. At number 4, I got the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I still buy in that this team could be a threat to win the Grey Cup, even though they got hosed by the fucking CFL 2 weeks ago. They still should have won last week though, and they got to figure out how to capitalize on that. They didn't. They let the big moment get the best of them. They got to learn how to win games, how to close out games against good opponents. So I have them at 4. Who do you got at 4?
Now we got some differences. I have Winnipeg, even though I'm very encouraged that they are shooting themselves to be up in that 1-2 area. Right now, I do have them at 4. They're going to need to show that they can maintain that. I mean, obviously they have an easy game. I would say it's easy. You know, sometimes those easiest ones are the ones they can't overlook, but they have an easy game against Hamilton. It's next week when they have to go on the road to Saskatchewan. That's going to be really interesting to see is this team back? But yeah, so for right now, I got them at 4.
Yeah, well, I got Winnipeg at 3, and
Okay.
that's my logic is I think there's a freight train right now. It's coming through. They figured things out. They weathered the storm. The offense, they have found new targets. Oliveira is healthier than he was beginning of the year. Caleros is healthier. They still have Strevler. And to me, the receivers have come along. And to me, the defense looks really figured out. They are out the gate. The defensive line did not look very good. They have figured stuff out on the defensive side of the ball. I like the front office, the coaching. I feel like they're always intact in unison, and it's starting to pay off. I got Winnipeg at 3. Who do you got at 3?
Number 3, I got Ottawa. I have been really impressed with this team this year. I do think they should have lost last week. You're right. I'm happy they won because, you know, our buddy Rod Villagomez is happy about it, but they should have lost to Calgary on the road. Still a really good team. I mean, these 2, 3, and starting to get 4 as Winnipeg creeps up. They're going to, I feel like, keep just kind of moving back and forth within each other here. But for now, I got Ottawa down there. I'm encouraged with how they play, though.
That's my number 2. I think they continue to evolve and get. Now they should have lost, I thought last week, but They didn't, and that's something to be said about that. I've just this has been the most surprising team in the whole league to me.
Yeah, agreed.
They really look like a good football team. Now, it doesn't mean both things can be right. They should have lost last week, and I don't even know that they definitely should have lost last week. They could have lost.
Yeah,
I actually think they should have won the game, but they shouldn't have came down to that. And that's the scary part by taking them there. But yeah, that's my number 2. And obviously, I know I got to ask you your number 2, but I think we know our number 1. But who's your 2 then?
Saskatchewan. I think this is 2 games in a row. I mean, we had the tie and the bad calls on that, and then last week, like you said, 5 more minutes, and they probably could have won this game. Yeah, they didn't hold it together, but I'm just really encouraged that you move Trevor Harris in after he's been off, and he shows up like he does. He should, in theory, only get better. He should be able to find more rhythm. He should be able to make more big plays. So I think the fact that he didn't look like he needed to shake any rust off, and just the way that they have this team playing and the defense, I'm encouraged by them, even though I was down on them most the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And the Alouettes are number 1. They look incredible. They never lose a game. They're fucking 2007 New England Patriots. But they did, as you know, Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl that year. So you still got to play the games, but the Alouettes, quarterback proof, hit the road. They win these games. They just find a way to get it done. They're the team to beat in this league. Agreed?
Agreed. Hard to win back-to-back Grey Cups, but I agree for now that they are the best team in the league.
Yeah. Gonna be fun to watch all this. I think this week coming up is fantastic, folks. Get on over to the whatever podcast platform you listen to, CFL Gambling Podcast. Hit that subscribe button, please. If you can on iTunes, though, give us a 5-star review. We haven't got enough of those this year. I know some people have tagged us and say they're enjoying the podcast, but if you could take 2 minutes out of your day and do that, we'd certainly appreciate it. Also, youtube.com, hop on over CFL Gambling Podcast, type that in, hit that like and subscribe button on all those videos. That stuff matters. Sponsors matter. We're trying to get that Labatt Blue sponsor. You know what I mean? That Seagram 7 sponsor. If you got any connects, Pam Anderson, huge tits sponsor. She can come on the show, give out some winners if you know her personally. So we could do that. Or Ryan Reynolds. All right. John Candy's son will take 2. All right. I think he's got a son. May he rest in peace. Former Toronto Argonauts owner. Owen Wilson, there's another one. Let's go. Let's get someone on the show. All right. Folks, make sure you give J Mark a follow on Twitter at JMarkFootball. Hopefully he's got better reception next time, because it looks like he's on fucking Mars. I thought we figured out technology, right?
I think the issue is my wife is working right now and she's on a video call. I can hear it in the next room. Her uncle is working right now, and the niece and nephew are watching something on Netflix or something. So we got a lot going on right now here.
I mean, I honestly think the Pam and Tommy Lee sex video had better video quality than this. So folks, give J Mark a follow. And remember, we're back tomorrow. Check out the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. Check out the UFL Gambling Podcast. Also, give me a follow on Twitter at the Colby D. I host the college football experience. Obviously, college football kicking this weekend with week 0, and then the real kick week 1 the following week. Give me a follow on Twitter at the Colby D. Check out that podcast. Also, check out the Stadium Heads podcast, where we talk about the history of football and the stadiums that make football so great. Check out that, and check out the college basketball experience, the college baseball experience, the FCS college football experience, and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the Sports Gambling Podcast in general. We got all these great seasons coming up, so check them all out, folks. A ton of great work we're doing here. Get on over there, get the SGPN app. It's free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. I cannot wait for this weekend CFL. Or this week's CFL schedule and catching these games. And if we don't have anybody tail us in DFS this week, you're just stupid. The world's just stupid. We're just going to stop doing the show. All right. Till next time, folks. This is the CFL Gambling Podcast Week 11 reaction show. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.